I'm Dr. Erica Bove, and welcome to the Love and Science podcast. I'm your host, and also the founder of Love and Science, Thriving Through Infertility. I'm so excited you're here today. With over a decade of experience helping thousands of women just like you, I empower professional women to build their families with confidence and compassion. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Love and Science podcast. And today we have a wonderful colleague and friend of mine. Her name is Dr. Dana Gibbs. She is a board certified ear, nose, and throat surgeon who does amazing work in the space of thyroid and hormones. And I send her my patients because when I'm stumped, Dr. Gibbs knows just what to do. And so today we're going to have a lovely conversation about her expertise in the space of hormones and what she has to offer, what she knows that most of us don't know. So welcome, Dr. Gibbs.
Thank you for having me. This is going to be great.
Absolutely. So can you tell me a little bit about sort of who you are and what you do in the current iteration of your career right now?
Sure. So I am a board certified otolaryngologist, head and neck surgeon, and otolaryngologic allergist turned hormone specialist. And, that's quite a mouthful. But the reason I bring that up is because I started my hormone journey back with the thyroid. And one of the surgeries that ENT doctors do all the time is remove thyroid nodules or remove thyroid glands. And so I kind of came at hormones from a different perspective than where most endocrinologists come at hormones. And I think that's actually a good thing because my perspective is different. And when you combine perspectives, a lot of times you get new insights. And so I think that's super helpful.
That's amazing. And I see that all the time in what we do. People who are very good surgically, they think about things in a way that if you don't have that visual, you might not put the pieces together. So I think that's absolutely fabulous that you have that background. Tell me a little bit more. So, when I met you in person for the first time, I think it was in April, I learned something very interesting about you combining your doctor brain and your own fertility journey. Do you mind sharing that interesting story for my listeners?
Sure. Yeah. And it's very relevant to what's going on here because I was a tired teen and I was a tired early young adult, and to the point where I had this dream of going to medical school and becoming a brain surgeon or something like that since I was 9-10 years old. And when I got into college or got close to thinking about going to college and going into college, I was like, I can't do it. I know I'm too tired to go to med school. I can't possibly. And so I didn't. I went to college expecting to get an engineering degree until I figured out that I actually didn't like math as much as that. And then I was kind of stuck for a while. I was like, what am I going to do? Oh my gosh. So I thought, well, okay, I'll go be a research scientist. I'll work in a lab. And so I did that for a couple of years. And the funny thing about it was that all the people in the lab who were really having a good time were MDs. And I was like, oh, well, okay, I guess I'll go take the MCAT. And I did. And I got into medical school and I was like, okay, here we go. This is it. And if I crash and burn, so be it. And it was a near miss. I mean, it was a close call because I was still super tired. I was cold all the time. I was I don't know, I had all kinds of symptoms that I did not recognize at the time they were thyroid related. I had no idea. And I just thought, well, I'm just lazier than all those other residents. I don't have the energy to study as hard as they do. I don't remember things as well as they do. There was all this stuff. And truthfully, it was, like I said, it was a near thing, but I managed to graduate med school. I finished residency. I'd been to the health clinics multiple times and they'd said, oh, you're just depressed. Here, take these antidepressants. And nobody, not me, not anybody, thought 1 second that I could be hypothyroid. Nobody figured that out. And then when I was out of residency and I had moved back home to be where my mom was because I was so tired, I couldn't think of anything else to do. One of these days, I think I'd been out of residency for maybe 4 years at this point. I was sitting in an allergy conference and I'd heard the lecture that I was in before, because it was the same foundational thing that they teach you every year. And I got bored and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go into the alt room and listen to the other lecture. And here this guy puts up this list of symptoms. And, and it was your hair's thin and your eyebrows on the sides have fallen out and your nails won't grow and you're constipated all the time and you're pasty pale and you can't build muscle. There's all kinds of stuff. And I sat there and my jaw was just on the floor because every single thing that he said was me. And my impression prior to that had been only fat people have hypothyroid problems. And so it was really an eye-opener. And then the next thing he said was, I don't know why it works, but some people do better on Armour thyroid, even if their TSH is normal. And I didn't care that he didn't know why it worked. I didn't care. I was like, he just described me to a T. I'm going to go try what he said. And he was right. And it worked. And it was like a miraculous, oh, who is this? What have you done with Dana? And who is this new person? Because I couldn't fall asleep before because my feet were so cold. I would have to get up and go stick my feet in a tub of hot water before I could lay back down in the bed and fall asleep because I just couldn't. And then I would wake up at 2 a.m. drenched in sweat. And so this was every single night. This was my life. I thought I couldn't have a baby. I was just told, oh, you're never going to have a baby. My periods were never regular. Never. I would go months without a period.
Did anyone think to evaluate you for that? Because my gynecology brain is like, oh yeah, that's one of the first things you check is like.
Well, I had been checked many times. Like I said, I got checked. My TSH was fine. They said, oh, take some antidepressants. Nobody, and I wasn't really, I was starting a business. Mm-hmm. I wasn't really super urgent about having a baby at that point anyway. Mm-hmm. And so it didn't really register that this is a big thing for me. It didn't affect me emotionally in the way that I think a lot of folks who really, really want to have a baby would be affected by it. Mm-hmm. But what it did do was it opened my eyes to that list of symptoms. And, all these thyroid patients coming through my office, and I'm taking out part of their thyroid or, oh, that wasn't cancer. Oh, they said it was lymphocytic thyroiditis. Well, that's another name for Hashimoto's disease. And I said to them, did you know you have Hashimoto's disease? They're like, no, what's that? Nobody paid attention to it. And I would look at them and I would go, they have all those same symptoms that I have. And we would do their surgery and I would send them off the endocrinologist and they would come back 50 pounds heavier and miserable. And I'd go, okay, well, what are you doing? Well, they said my TSH was fine. I'm like, oh, well, here we go. And so it felt very out of the box for me to give them thyroid medicine and try to balance them. But they were miserable. And I'd say, look, I'm going to do this. And your doc is going to be mad because your numbers are going to change and your TSH is going to be low and all this stuff. And truthfully, I didn't really know what I was doing. Now that I think about it, I didn't really know what I was doing. But everybody that I helped gave me just a little more confidence. Mm-hmm. And eventually I found a lecture series that taught me exactly what was going on. And it was, once again, it was a light bulb moment there's more to it than TSH. Wow. Mm-hmm. And so then once I had that knowledge and I knew what tests to order and I knew the right way to treat those people, my success just got better and better and better. And I started noticing, one of the things that I would do is, ordinarily the systems review. And I started noticing, okay, I'm getting people in here who've had a bunch of miscarriages.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting people in here who have had, here's another example. It's like, so I saw a lady one year and she was there for sinus problems and her CT was terrible and she needed sinus surgery. And I was like, okay, but you also answered this list of questions and I think you have a thyroid problem. And she's like, well, they said my TSH was fine. I'm like, yeah, I know, but bear with me. Let's try. If you hate it after 6 weeks, we won't keep doing it. And I didn't hear from her for like 6 months. And I'm like, does she hate what's going on? And she's, I don't know. But anyway, so she came back 6 months later and I was like, well, so you're ready to schedule your sinus surgery? And she's like, no, I don't need that anymore. I'm completely fine. I just want a refill on that thyroid medicine you gave me. And that moment was, wow, I'm really onto something here, because if it's fixing people's immune system problems, what else is it going to fix?
Yeah.
And people with their multiple miscarriages, I'm noticing this and I'm like, hey, I know that you came here for allergies, but let's try this thyroid thing on you.
Mm-hmm.
And, the first person who came back after having carried a baby to term after multiple miscarriages, after they had let me manage their thyroid through the whole thing, I cried.
Oh, I bet you did.
I still choke up when I think about it, because those people are desperate. They're desperate.
Yes. And actually, that's a lot of our listeners, Dr. Gibbs.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this and that is you, I want you to be seen and heard right now, because we see you. Dr. Gibbs sees you and she helps people just like you.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. That is so beautiful.
Yeah.
So tell us. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So then the next one that I had success with was a woman who had Graves' disease. And she had been on methimazole, which is a thyroid suppressing medicine, for a long time, and had been told, well, as long as you're on that, you're not going to be able to have a baby, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, let's try this technique. And so it's like, okay, you're going to take a little extra methimazole, but then I'm going to give you back some thyroid hormone. And she was able to get pregnant. It was like, dang, there really is something to this. And so, as time went on, because, I was in ENT for 23 years. I was doing just ENT. People started asking me, they're like, well, you're taking care of my thyroid. Can't you give me menopausal hormones too? Can't you do this? Can't you do that? And I'm like, no. I am an ENT doctor. I cannot do that. But when I started thinking about leaving the practice where I was at, I was like, okay, what do I want to do? And these are the patients that really light my fire and really float my boat. And no, I'm not doing surgery anymore. No, I'm not getting to do surgery anymore. But I really get a lot out of fixing people when they come in. And most of my patients come in and they're just so tired. That's, weight gain, yes, but fatigue is the number one thing that people come in for, and they have tried everything. So anyway, so that's kind of my story, and that's where I'm at as far as that goes.
You fixed your own thyroid, right? Can you share just a little bit about that? Yeah.
And so, as things happen, like I said, when I was first told that I wasn't going to have a baby, I was like, I'm not super chuffed about it. But, eventually I met somebody and I was like, hey, this would be good. And having fixed my thyroid and having fixed my energy levels, my periods were now regular. And I was like, would be. And I was able to stop my birth control and conceive And I was 44. I was 44 years old. And my baby's 13. She's getting ready to be 14 now. And so, yeah, she's the miracle baby. So it's pretty good.
But I just think, so much in your story is you sort of stumbling upon these sort of adjunct problems, right? Somebody saw you for one thing, but you listened and you noticed, right? And you listened to the whole person, not just, oh, I'm here for my sinuses, or oh, I'm here for this, but you looked at them as whole people in the context of their lives. And you thought, I think I can make a difference if I tinker with things. And you say you don't know what you were doing, but I think you had a hunch, right? Maybe if you didn't understand all the physiology, et cetera, but like you knew that you had something to offer these people that had not been tried before. And so by, your patients trusting you and letting in you trusting yourself that you had a skill that other people don't necessarily have. And I mean, I had excellent training. The things that you talk about, I did not hear about in my training just because
nobody does.
It's like a empiric body of evidence. Like it's almost like experiential at this point. And that's why we need more data, I think. But I think that you have something unique to offer humans, unique to offer fertility patients, that even us REIs who are double board certified and learn about the thyroid, there are people that meet the limit of who I can help, right? And I like to think I can help everybody, but I think a sign of a good doctor is when you know your limitations. I have limitations around this sometimes. And, when I see somebody and I'm like, I have done everything I can do and they're not getting better, like, you're here and you're willing to help. And that's just like such a gift. So would you be willing to share a little bit about your approach to the patient? I'm sure that's evolved over time, but like when somebody is referred to you, how do you think about them and how do you decide what the next steps could be?
Sure. So, I mean, first of all, I validate them. I believe them. When they say I'm tired, when they say my hair's falling out, when they say, I've had 3 miscarriages, I believe everything that they're telling me. When they say I have tried everything to get these 40 pounds off and I eat bark and twigs and nothing else, and I still can't lose the weight, I believe them. I'm not, oh, you should exercise. BS. I call BS. People know what they're doing. They do. And so, I'm looking at their history and I go back and I go deep. I go into a trauma history. I go all the way back to, did you have nuchal cord when you were born? Did you have in utero trauma? Did you have childhood trauma? Because those things really affect how your body processes stress. And stress, cortisol is the master hormone. And if you have high levels of cortisol in your body, there are lots of stuff that happens that's theoretically reversible, but you have to know it's there and you have to pay attention to it. So that's number one. But then the things that I learned about thyroid are stuff that's not talked about in general endocrinology at all. As a matter of fact, it's funny. I have a presentation coming up with a hospital in India where the CEO of the hospital has had thyroid problems for most of his life. And he wants me to convince his endocrinologists that what I do is better than what they do. And I'm not looking forward to it because people who get into their, what I know is what there is to know kind of method and attitude, they're very hard to convince. So it's almost like you kind of almost have to have had some personal experience of the failure of what mainstream medicine teaches people in order to be open to these new ideas and these new methods. And the truth of the matter is none of the stuff that I do is absent from the medical literature. It's there. It's not talked about. It's not mainstream because, it has been basically ignored. And, if you're endocrinology chair says, oh, we don't do things that way, then you just move on. We do what we're told when we're residents, and that's what we come away learning. But anyway, so the concept of the thyroid issues that cause infertility have center around abnormal signaling. And it's so, we know TSH comes from the pituitary gland, which is signaled by the hypothalamus that goes to the thyroid that makes thyroid hormone. It circulates in our blood, and it's a feedback loop. That's a very simple concept. But there's a whole other layer of thyroid control that we don't think about and that we don't talk about, and that I wasn't taught in med school. I wasn't taught in residency. I didn't learn it until I went looking for the information. And even then, I didn't know what I was looking for. I just knew there had to be something else there, because the TSH was fine in these people. And when I would give them thyroid medicine, they felt better. And I was like, okay, something else is going on. So what people don't realize is that there's a whole level of the fine tuning of how much T4 gets made into T3, and how the T3 gets through the cell membrane to the nucleus of the cell to start the transcription and make the process go, to make your metabolism go. And T4 can go down, it's a split pathway. So T4 can be made into T3, or it can be made into reverse T3. And those are the only two pathways T4 can go down. And your body has defense mechanisms that help you if the brakes come off and you're making too much T4 for whatever reason. And that fine control is something called reverse T3. So depending on which deiodinase enzyme is chosen to take the T4 down its metabolic pathway is whether you get T3 or whether you get something called reverse T3. And reverse T3 is the same molecule. It's just got the iodine pulled off in the wrong place. So T4, 4 iodines, T3, 3 iodines. Reverse T3, also 3 iodines, but the wrong one came off. And so it's like you went to the hardware store to get a key made, and they got one of the little ridges wrong. And so you put that key in the lock. You can get it into the lock, but it won't turn.
Got it.
And that's reverse T3. It'll sit on the thyroid, it'll sit on the thyroid hormone receptor and block it. And so if your ratio of the reverse T3, and reverse T3 has useful things that it does. It's very, very important in fetal development. But if you have the wrong ratio of reverse T3 to T3 in your bloodstream, for whatever reason, and there are at least a dozen reasons why this can happen. One of them is a genetic reason. One of them is Hashimoto's disease. One of them is stress. Big one is stress. If you have that balance wrong, then your thyroid signaling is off and it's low, and you don't feel good, and you have all those symptoms, and you go to the doctor and they say, your TSH is fine. Here, take this antidepressant, just like what happened to me. But if you check the correct labs, if you're measuring the reverse T3 and comparing it with a direct ratio to the T3, then you can know, okay, is the signaling good or is it less good? And what do we need to do about it? And so that's the first thing. The second thing is that we were all taught that thyroid has this really, really long half-life, and that you don't have to take it, but every other day. It doesn't even matter if you skip a day, and the truth of the matter is that's really not true, because a little too much thyroid hormone in your body, a little too much T4 or a little bit not enough T4 affects that fine control. And if it sees that elevated level of T4 because you take thyroid hormone once a day, then it turns up that reverse T3. It turns up the enzyme that makes reverse T3. And so you feel bad and you go, oh, well, my T4 level isn't high enough. I'm going to take more. And that makes the problem worse and worse and worse. And so you get people in, they're taking 175 micrograms of T4 and their reverse T3 is 50. And you're like, oh, well, I know I can fix you.
It's kind of like, it almost seems like you're, sort of trying to get something into your house that is a useful part of the household, but you're just putting it in a storage closet. Is that a good analogy? Or no?
It's more like, okay, think of a car.
Mm-hmm.
So think of a car and you've got the gas and you've got the brake and you've got the parking brake.
Mm-hmm.
And, you've got your T3, which is the gas. And then you've got, your TSH, which is feeding, it's feeding the gas. It's feeding fuel into the gas. And the T3 is maybe the spark that makes things go. But then you've also got contaminated fuel, or you've got the parking brake on or something else. So you're driving along the highway in, as fast as you can go, but you've got the parking brake on and you're in first gear.
I see.
And so yeah, it's the fine control. And you can see this in somebody who maybe has Graves' disease. And I don't know how often you see Graves' disease, because that's when you have way too much T4. And if you check somebody with Graves' disease, their reverse T3 will just be super, super high, because it's trying to block all that excess T4. And so they may not feel that bad, even with this high level of T4, because they've got all this excess reverse T3. And so then if you go in and you give them tapazole or methimazole, they're going to feel bad because they've still got all that reverse T3, but they're not making any T3 because you cut their T4 off.
I mean, this is so much more nuanced than anything that I've ever learned. And I know that it works. And so a lot of our listeners are people for whom they're highly educated, right? They have been in the medical system a really long time, and the current fertility treatments they're doing are just not working. So for instance, maybe they've done 4 or 5 embryo transfers and the data say that there should be, 98% chance that they'd be successful at this point, but they're in the 2% of people who haven't. So who is somebody, specifically in the infertility or, recurrent pregnancy loss population, who should seek you out if they feel that they're doing these treatments and they're just not taking hold?
So, right. So, I would say if you are a physician, you pretty much meet the criteria just based on the fact that you went through medical school and residency, because you're stressed out. Yeah. And if you are practicing in the current medical system and the current climate of the way medicine is these days, I can guarantee you're stressed out. And like I mentioned, stress is one of the reasons why this happens. And there's a bunch of reasons for that. But if you think about it this way, so think about why your body responds to stress hormones. It responds with stress hormones because it thinks your life is in danger. Mm. So if you are in a famine, if you're starving, your body has T4 already in it. It has 90 days worth of T4. It's going to keep releasing it and releasing it and releasing it for the next 90 days, by which time you will have starved to death. So it needs fine control. And so if your body is under that much stress and you're calorie restricting, what's going to happen? Reverse T3 is going to go up. It's going to shut you down. It's going to shut your metabolic set point down to keep you from literally starving to death before food is plentiful again in the spring. So that's just one of many ways that stress takes you down.
So you're saying
when you're not actually in a survival situation,
and that makes
your body
total
thinks
sense.
you are.
I mean, so I will say, my patients with my clients, they're mostly physicians. So that's like strike number one. Yeah. They have fertility struggles, right? Which are incredibly stressful, right?
Strike two.
right? Strike two. And I mean, not to mention all the other life stressors that, tug at us all the time. And
Sure.
so, it sounds like most of
Well,
the
I mean,
people
we're
that I,
women, we're expected to
yeah,
be the perfect mom, the perfect wife, the perfect employee, or the perfect business person. You know, eh, you've got a lot of
yeah,
you've got a lot of expectations of yourself if you're a woman physician. I mean, it's just a fact of the the I don't know what to call us, the tribe.
yeah, that's
It's
right.
just a fact of the tribe. We have a lot of expectations of ourselves. And if you can move a little bit towards authenticity and go, okay, I can let some of this go and ratchet that stress level down just a little bit, then
Mhm.
that can really, really help. But sometimes people get stuck in this high reverse T3 thyroid is blocked, and it's not just thyroid, it's the sex hormones too. If you have high cortisol, you are not making adequate estradiol and testosterone. You're just not.
Mhm.
So that's another thing that it's like, work on the stress, but let's fix the thyroid thing first. And sometimes it's to the point where a person is so tired that you tell them, oh, okay, you need to do this kind of exercise and you need to eat this way. And they're like, you got to be kidding me. I can barely get out of bed and get to work in the morning. Um, and so sometimes if you just kind of tweak the thyroid, if you say, okay, we're going to start you on liothyronine, which is T3. We're going to do it this way. You're going to check the labs this often. And we're going to get this better so that you have just a little bit more energy
Mm.
so that you can maybe work on your mind just a little bit. Maybe you do 5 minutes of breathing exercises a day. Maybe you journal a little bit. Maybe you hire a coach and start working on your thoughts. And anything that you can do to just ratchet things down, ratchet that stress level down, gives you a better chance of conceiving. Because, I mean, if you're stressed, your body's like, we're not having a baby now. We might die. We might die. That's what your brainstem is signaling when your stress
Right.
level is high.
And I think circling back to what you said about the first thing that you do is you validate. Like I do the same thing. I say, it makes sense that you are stressed out. It makes sense. All these things are inherently stressful. What can we do to help? It's not about judging, oh, you're stressed and that's why it's not happening, because we judge ourselves enough, right? So that's something that I help people do, is sort of inject some self-compassion and end that cycle of self-judgment. But I think that it's both, and it's less address the stress, and there is also likely something objectively going on that many people in conventional Western medicine have not been able to figure out. And so,
Yeah.
especially for my folks, it's like, let's leave no stone unturned. Let's figure out all the things to give you the
Mm-hmm.
best possible chance of a successful outcome. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so I think we have just a few more minutes, Dr. Gibbs. I'm so grateful that you can impart your wisdom here to our listeners, because there's just like you said when I first met you, you're like, there are things about the thyroid that I know that most people don't know. And so you have generously offered to share some information about the thyroid, which we'll include in the show notes for sure, so that
Sure.
people, if they want
Absolutely.
to know more about that they can read.
Yeah.
Is there anything
So
else? Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm sorry. So I have a 2 hour, it's a video lunch and learn that I put together. It's a 2-part
Wow.
lunch and learn that I gave to some local docs here. And I've had a couple of people come back and say, wow, you know what? I started using this in my practice and it's really helping. Um, and and so it's a really handy and useful thing. And I'll give you the link so that you can put it in the show notes, because I think, if anybody is interested enough in this, then please come learn it, because it sucks being the only one who knows.
Yeah, and I think
It
it could
really,
really
really
help a
does.
lot of our listeners, right?
Yeah.
Many of whom may be endocrinologists, but are also the 1 in 4 female physicians who have infertility themselves. And so,
Yeah.
it's so generous of you to share that. I think we
I,
need to help each other.
it's amazing to me to think that it's 1 in 4. That's just
It's crazy, right?
Horrible.
It's crazy.
It's horrible. But I'll tell you, so endocrinologists are starting to, I mean, they are suffering under the weight of, years and years of dogma and inertia. And, it's like anything in medicine. It's like Louis Pasteur wasn't respected because he wasn't a physician. He was a microscopist or whatever he was. Semmelweis said, hey, we should wash our hands. And they put him in an insane asylum. I mean, it was, this is the way medicine is. It's like stomping through concrete to get new ideas out there, but it's starting to happen. And the use of liothyronine or T3 is starting to be something that more doctors do. And it's just like, okay, how about some guidelines on the right way to do it?
Yeah.
And that's what I've got. But there is one more little fact that I just want to make sure, and I know you have to go. But that there are supplements that people can take that will help their adrenal glands work better. And just call me up and ask me, I'll tell you, because it's just so useful to have.
I think they should book a discovery call with you to see if it would be a good fit. If you could help them out, Dr. Gibbs. That's what I think.
Okay.
So where can people find you? That's a good segue.
Okay, so my website is www.danagibbsmd, and I am on Instagram at danagibbsmd as well. And I do have a discovery call link right there on the website. And what I have been doing for physicians in particular is that my medical licenses are Texas and Iowa, so I can't be your doctor, quote unquote, but I can teach you and advise you on what to do. And I've had several folks come through basically what I'm calling a coaching program, even though it's not coaching the way you do coaching, and had really good success getting their energy back and getting more clarity on what they need to do to
or like what we're doing.
I'm
the doctor and you're the coach, and we talk about it's working out and people are getting better. And so I think the more we can think outside the box about these things, the more people will not have to suffer like you did. And like so many people are currently suffering.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. And I mean, kudos because you figured out a lot of this on your own and you're sharing it with the world. And so I cannot wait to keep collaborating with you. I cannot wait to keep listening to your content. And, like I said, you help my patients and you help me in so many ways. And I'm so grateful to know you, Dr. Gibbs.
Well, thank you so much. And I do have a podcast too. It's brand new.
Oh, great. That's right.
It's called Beyond the Thyroid. So look me up.
All right. Fabulous. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Love and Science podcast. I'm so glad you joined us today. If you found this conversation valuable, if you could please rate, review, and share this podcast with your trusted people, it would mean so much to me. If you want more tools to help you navigate the fertility journey, please book a discovery call with me today. The link is in the show notes. Please do not let infertility have the final word. I'm here to take the burden from you so that you can achieve your goal of building your family. In gratitude, this is Dr. Erica Bove. I'm rooting for you always.